Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sincerely Agile with Mary. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, this is the show where we learn, unlearn, and relearn. And of course, it's a place where we want to be awesome and wholesome together. Now, I am your host, Mary Lanio, and I am an enterprise agile coach. Now, today we're going to be joined by Lizzy Morris. She's yet to join me, and we're going to be looking at a topic: humanity and professionalism in the workplace. Humanity and professionalism in the workplace. Let me just bring that up. Humanity and professionalism in the workplace. And Lizzy Morris is going to be joining us very, very soon. I can see a few people are joining us also already. And if you can just let me know where you're joining us from. Where are you joining from? Let's know where you're joining from. I'm just going to try and bring that up. Okay, we've got Victoria, as always, joining her mommy. Thank you, Victoria, for always being here. That's my daughter, my number one supporter. And yeah, we're just going to wait for Lizzy to join us. And we've got Ronke as well. Hello, Ronke. Nice to have you here as well. We're still waiting for our guest to join us. Our guest, Lizzy Morris, Agile consultant, coach, and trainer. However, our topic today is all about humanity and professionalism. Humanity and professionalism. Let's actually find out. Oh, you're calling from London, Ronke. Fantastic, as always. Now, let's just ask ourselves, what does humanity mean? Ronke, Victoria, if you were to define humanity, how would you define it? What does humanity mean to you? How would you define humanity? Let's see what your responses are. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Ronke. Always a pleasure to have you here too. Yes, Victoria, of course, you're joining from Kent. So what does humanity, what does it mean to you? What does humanity mean to you? If I can just have your responses, what does humanity mean to you? I have a very simple response to that. But let's see what you have to say. What does humanity mean to you? Lizzy has already contacted me, so I hope she will be with me. I think she's trying to contact me. Okay, she's just sent me a message. Okay, she's just heading into her office, her work area. Okay, cool. We're waiting for you, Lizzy. Okay, so what are your responses? What's Ronke saying? Ronke says humanity means compassion. I like that. Victoria, the state of being humane. I like that too. For me, I'm just saying humanity means human nature. Humanity means human nature. Yep, compassion, state of being humane. I really do like that, Victoria. And I'm adding to that, I'm saying humanity means human nature. And this topic is quite, it's quite apt at a time like this, especially given the COVID situation we've all had to go through. Now, one of the things that really struck my mind was that it's as though that this COVID situation has actually compelled us, especially in the workplace, to actually, put humanity first. It has compelled us to think differently. It has compelled us to act differently and to actually show up much more differently. Okay, Lizzy says she's trying to get in, so I'm just going to try and post the link to her again. Copy link here. Bear with me. Let me tell her she has the link. She does. I'm just going to try and give that to her again. Yeah. Okay, we're having one of those days. My guest is late. She needs the link again, so please just bear with me. It's one of those days. We will have them from time to time. We will have them from time to time. So I'm just going back to my post to her to give her the link again. Okay, here you go. And we are talking about professionalism, isn't it? And we're going to try and be as professional as we can possibly be, in spite of all the challenges we're having right now. Okay, so I have sent her the link, and hopefully she can join me now. Hopefully. I'm just checking. She's got it. Okay, we're actually talking with LinkedIn, by the way. I'm just making sure she got that. Okay, so bear with us. Lizzy will join us shortly. So as I was saying, the pandemic situation seemed to have compelled us to think more of humanity. We are all working under difficult, circumstances. We have all had to, go through the same motions, if you like. So it's a common problem. So given that it has been a common problem, I think it has actually helped us to think a lot more differently. And Lizzy is messaging me again. Oh, I see. She's got a problem because she's got a StreamYard as well. She will need to log out of her StreamYard. So let me tell her, because she also has StreamYard, she's getting into her StreamYard instead of mine. Log out of yours. Okay, there you go. So I've just sent her a message to log out of her StreamYard, and then hopefully she can log into my StreamYard space. And yeah. Okay, so as I was saying, the COVID situation has really created a situation where we've all gone through a common problem. And because we've gone through a common problem, it seemed to have nudged us to be much more humane to one another. Now, let's look at professionalism. After all, we're talking about, this is our topic right here. We're talking about humanity and professionalism in the workplace. Now, how would you define professionalism? How would you define professionalism? What does professionalism mean to you? Ronke, whoever is watching, what does professionalism mean to you? For me, professionalism is about the competencies that we require to achieve our work as professionals, the expected skills that we should have in order to show up as a professional and get a good job done. That is what professionalism means to me. And it is interesting that we're talking about professionalism today, and it would seem like we've gotten everything wrong today while we're talking about professionalism. My guest can't join me, and we're having some technical issues. But again, this is where we need to be, should I say, not so hard on ourselves, because technical glitches will happen, and that is what we're experiencing right now. And I'm just going to check Lizzy's message again to see if she has any update for me. And she hasn't, not yet. So she's obviously having some issues with StreamYard, and that is because she also subscribes to StreamYard. There she is. There she is. Finally. Hello, Lizzy.
Hello.
What happened there? What happened there, sister?
Who knew that
happened there,
because
sister?
I go in StreamYard, I was going to have these issues? So, I did exactly the same. I did, you sent me a link like what I sent to my guest. I clicked on it and it brought me into my back end of StreamYard. And I'm like, what? Okay, so then I go to another browser and it still did it. And I'm like,
you had to log out.
So I logged out, but then it wanted me to get into other places securely. And I'm like, okay, what's the password for that place? Okay, let's go grab that. I tried Facebook. It didn't like me doing it through Facebook. Then I did YouTube. So voila, we are here.
Voila, you're here, finally. Finally, you're here.
Oh, finally,
I had already kickstarted while I was trying to chat with you at the same time on LinkedIn. Now, my question to our audience is, what is professionalism at this point? And Ronke here is saying polite behavior, good judgment, and skill. Absolutely. It's not just about the skills that we need to do a good job. It is also about how we show up and how we actually execute on the job that we have to do. That is what professionalism is all about, and more, and more. So thank you very much for that. Victoria says, being competent, acting in a professional manner. Absolutely, Victoria.
You know what? I wanna mess with Victoria right there. What do we mean by a professional manner?
Victoria, you want to respond?
Come on, Victoria. What do we mean by a professional manner?
That's my daughter, by the way. I'm sure you can tell from the name. Victoria, go on, respond. What do we mean? Lizzy is asking, what do we mean by professional manner? Okay, she goes, I'm just trying to bring it up. Polite behavior. Okay, she's yet to respond.
Yeah,
okay, Victoria,
it's been an interesting discussion, right? We've been, and the reason why I say that, Victoria, I'm not picking on you. It's been a conversation we've been throwing around over the past, we want to say year and a half now, right? Really, what is professionalism at this point? Because professionalism to so much of us had a lot to do with when we said professional manner, there was an image, there's a visual that comes to your mind when you say professional manner, right? Now, we can break down the character and say, well, you're polite, right? Well, we've looked over the past couple of years what politeness can look like, right? Because politeness can look like I'm being inauthentic, I'm being fake, I'm holding a mask up because I'm wanting to hold my professionalism. Yeah. And my professionalism has said, I must segment my humanity.
That is the whole point of this conversation, Lizzy. That is the whole point. You know, to say that, in fact, I have a question along those lines. I think I'm going to wait until we get to that point. Yes. But that is a very good one you've just brought up here. And Michael here is saying a solid understanding of your environment. And Vicky is saying actively seeking to show up how we are expected to. That's what she thinks. What do you say to that?
See, how we are expected.
Expected to show up.
Expected to show up, fitting into whatever preconceived mold that has been set. That is how we are aiming to show up. And that challenges everything we talk about when we talk about authenticity. Because you have no idea what my authenticity is. So you can't put a mold for it. And there was somebody who said, who was it? Michael said, a solid understanding of your environment.
Definitely having one of those days.
Oh, there you go.
We're definitely having one of those days where everything that could possibly go wrong goes wrong. Yeah, but we're going to kick it up anyway. We're going to overcome this. Okay, so you go ahead.
Yeah, it was Michael who said a solid understanding of your environment.
Can you hear me?
I think I can hear you fine. Are you okay? Are you hearing me okay? I love the fact that he said a solid understanding of your environment, because with that, we're saying, well, you need to know what it is you need to present of yourself.
I can say that. Yeah.
You need to know what it is you need to present of yourself. Now, what I mean by of yourself, when I walk into this particular environment, do I need to walk in as the facilitator? Do I need to pull that out of my toolkit because for that environment? Or do I need to walk in as the strategist, right? Or do I need to walk in as somebody who's had some hard times and has had to just transition through some things? So that clear understanding of your environment, I think, is absolutely critical, because then you know what you're pulling out of your toolkit.
It is critical.
I think that's definitely
absolutely critical. And like we say, in an agile environment, it's about how you dance in the moment, right? If we're talking about facilitation now, how you dance in the moment, and that is so key. So thank you very much, Michael, for talking about understanding your environment. But before we continue, we've had some glitches starting today. I really would like to introduce you to my guest. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Lizzy is a seasoned executive consultant that focuses on driving measurable results for her clients with over 18 years in-depth experience in delivering software development, project management, and strategic consulting. Lizzy's unique background allows her to become part of any executive leadership team and bring collaboration across verticals that establish corporate strategic alignment. Now, when we talk about areas of expertise, she has all the certifications you can think about, but just to mention a few, she's a Scrum Master, she's a Scrum at Scale Facilitator, she's a Strategy and Design Implementation Planning consultant, and client relationship management, just to mention a few. Lizzy is a seasoned agile consultant. She's been at it for a very long time.
Yeah, too long now.
Can you hear me? I thought I lost you there
I
again.
can't. Well, I'm laughing because I'm saying too long. The other day I had to count.
Lizzy is a seasoned agile consultant. Okay. She was one of the few women of color that, got all these certifications. We are coming behind her. So when I have, I need a go-to person, Lizzy is definitely one of my go-to ladies in Agile. So Lizzy, you're welcome to Sincerely Agile with Mary.
Thank you for bringing me to your show. It's lovely that we finally get
now,
to do
let
this.
us continue with the business of the day.
It's the weekend. People are on their internet.
Oh, I'm having a lot of technical issues today, but this is annoying. This is annoying. Lizzy, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. You're a little frozen and pixelated, but I can hear you. Are you directly plugged in with a landline? Like, have you got an Ethernet directly plugged into your system? There you go.
Okay, but you're frozen. Okay, there you go. There you go. We're going to do this. We're going to do this today. In spite of all the challenges, we are going to do this. we are going to do this. Okay, so our topic, Lizzy, humanity and professionalism in the workplace. And there's a reason we're talking about this. We've had the COVID situation. And when Victoria said how we are expected to show up, I loved how you picked on that straight away. So we've defined what humanity is. We've looked at what professionalism is. Now, my first question to you, Lizzy, could our quest for professionalism have come at a cost to humanity?
All day, every day.
All day, every day.
All day, every day. Professionalism has been used as a tool for fragmentation. Right? And in many cases, without realizing it, some of us have become soft schizophrenics. Right? And I say soft, not harsh, like that you need medication, but soft, because you have a persona that you present in the workplace to these particular colleagues, another one you present to these particular colleagues, and then another one that you present in the car lot or the parking space, and then the person you are in maybe your community endeavors, and then the person you are at home. And very rarely has anybody been able necessarily, when we're talking about our history of professionalism, I'm not talking over the last like 2-3 years when everybody's suddenly woken up and we've become conscious, but prior to that, we prided ourselves in being really well able to do those switches, right? We had a look for professionalism. I know growing up in the UK and starting my career there, right, before I moved to North America, that professionalism had an entire look to it, right? A Thomas pink shirt with cufflinks, right? Pantyhose, right? Cavella high heel shoes, black leather, patterned, right? There was a particular look for professionalism, especially when you were in management consultant or you were aiming to go up. There was a look. The phrase was suited and booted, right? We wore, as females, skirt suits or dress suits. They were cut to the nines. I mean, professional. We looked like magazine covers when we were going out. That was professionalism. And we prided ourselves in holding to that. And then there was a whole sense of how you needed to speak how you needed to, for the UK, how you needed to pronunciate, because that's different in the US. They're not into pronunciation, right? But pronunciation in the UK was everything. So even if you didn't go to a prep school, you needed to be able to articulate as if you had gone to prep school, so that you could climb the career ladder, right? Because that was what professionalism was. So we really had a box for it. It was defined, you know what it looked like. And if somebody came in and didn't map that, oh, how unprofessional. Right? So it definitely started.
If they didn't meet that expectation, like Victoria said, then you were not professional.
Exactly. Right? And I mean, Lord, I think about the wardrobe I used to have in the UK for work, how expensive my wardrobe was.
Yeah.
Right? There was an entire work wardrobe and then a church wardrobe, right? And a few casual clothes. But that was where the investment was, because you are aspiring to rise.
Yeah.
And there's
and you needed to live the part. And you needed to live the part.
Exactly. I mean, and it's our ambition and the fact that we've wanted to rise and get better, that we have looked for what is the path to doing that, right? And the path that was laid out was the old paradigm of professionalism. But it cost us our humanity, because you dare not truly express emotions.
That's it.
Right?
So it was as though, approaching the office door, you needed to switch off humanity and turn on professionalism.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I make jokes about that all the time.
Yeah. And it's almost robotic, right? We're expected to come into the office space and behave like a robot.
Yes.
Quenching all emotions.
Yes, absolutely. And especially when you were a Brit, stiff upper lip and all. Right? We definitely weren't going to be showing emotions. Now, this is why I think we were so good at sarcasm. Right? Because most Brits have got a real dry sense of humor, extremely sarcastic at a drop of a hat. And I think that's how we hid a lot of, per se, how people felt about something, right? And were able to express it without doing anything that was untowards or unprofessional.
And coming into that office space, having had to turn off humanity, as it were, what does that do to us in terms of our connection, in terms of our relations?
Yeah. Because you have to ask yourself, we talk about collaboration, right? That's our big thing. How do you ever truly collaborate if you're never able to really connect? Right? And if it's not me showing up, right, we have made no connection. So you get fake collaboration, which is never going to produce what it is everybody's hankering for.
A collaboration theater, as it were.
I like that. I love that.
And it was Marsha. She wrote a book on facilitation. And actually, I've got her book here. She wrote a book on facilitation. That's the book. And she talked about Marsha Arthur, and she talked about the collaboration theater. And I'm just attributing that to her. I actually just read about that yesterday, and I thought, wow, collaboration theater. I like that.
I love
because
that.
we're just playing it out. We don't mean it.
Yeah, right. It's a script. We know the script. We know what to say. We know just the right amount of expressions to have, facial expressions. Not too much. Not too much. Don't give away too much. Just enough. You know, so it really is. I love that collaboration theater.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it.
That is
when I read that, I thought, wow, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that.
Wow. So because we are not able to come into the workplace fully, because that is what this means. It means we could never come into the workplace and show up fully, okay? Because we have to, tiptoe around professionalism, as it were. That creates a lot of, should I say, it compromises psychological safety.
Absolutely. And that in itself
compromise
is a buzzword as well, hasn't it? Psychological safety.
Yeah. But it does compromise it, because if I can't be human, then how do I really connect? And if I can't connect, how do we create a safe environment?
Yeah, it's really hard to do that. It's funny. I did a thing. I want to say maybe it was 4 years ago. I had been playing with a framework. So I have my own coaching framework that I use, and I was experimenting still with some concepts that I have. And my framework is called the personal ecosystem, right?
Right.
And when I started to look, I realized that in our humanity, there are kind of 5 dimensions that we work in, right? So we have the financial part,
Okay.
finance, money, right? We have our relationships, with loved ones, friends, colleagues, etc. We have our dreams, we have our health, and we have our career/business, depending on what you're in.
Hmm.
And we denoted this concept of work-life balance, right? But work-life balance almost became a whipping stick against people, right? That, well, work-life balance looks like this. If you're a balanced human, it looks like this. And we started to kind of try to give a prescription for it. But the fact of the matter is, depending on where somebody is in their life, they're going to polarize to one of those dimensions more than the other.
Absolutely.
Right? So it might be that somebody right now is really driving to build their career. That's really where they are. So they're spending lots of time at work. They're doing a lot of work
Absolutely.
activities, right? They're doing lots of courses to do with work. They're staying overtime, a whole bunch.
And that's to be expected if you're trying to build a career.
Right, because that's where you're going. So to other people, that won't look balanced because there is a cost to other dimensions, right? There is the dimension of your family life that will suffer because they won't get as much of your time. But where the part has come, where the problem is that we haven't been able to be transparent about that. So if I can say to you that right now, my value that is pulling me, magnetizing me is my career. That's what's really important to me. So I need everybody to know who's in my circle. That it's not that I don't love you, I don't care about you. These things aren't important. But right now, this is where I'm pulled to.
And I was there at one point. Well, I'm probably still there, but a few years ago, I was there. And I like the way you said that you need to let the people in your circle know.
Right.
I mean, my children, they knew. They knew a few years ago that, you know what, this is what mommy is trying to achieve right now. So it was almost like we had a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was almost as though we had an unspoken contract, so to speak, because this is family. We know each other, right?
Right.
And there's some body language that we use to communicate. So they knew that this was my space. This was how it was going to be now. I don't love you any less, but this is going to take 16 hours of my time out of 24.
Yes.
So I totally can relate to what you just said.
Yeah. And then you have sometimes when health will kick in. Sadly, most of us don't polarize to health naturally, right? Health has to go, damn, you got a problem. Pay attention. And then we do everything to bring it back into a balance for us, right? Based on the fact we want to live long or whatever, and we make those adjustments. But what we have to understand as leaders is that at any given point at time, one of those dimensions could be out of whack for your employee. And if they are, when they show up, their so-called professionalism is going to have some holes in it. Right? So if I'm going through a health tragedy and I'm showing up at work, I'm not going to show up the way I normally show up.
No.
Right? I'm not going to be able to function the way I normally function. But that's part of my humanity.
That is it.
And understanding that you have a workplace full of humans means that empathy has to come into play. Because when you offer people empathy as they're being human, because they're living a life, having a human experience, like every other human in the building, right? But nobody is taking account for the human experience. This is why we have so many suicides that happen in a professional space. Because people are holding this idea of, I'm fine, everything's wonderful, I've got to produce at the same level and even more. And there's a mask. I've come up with an acronym for that. I just used it recently in a course called A Maimed Attempt at Secret Keeping. And it takes a lot of energy to keep secrets.
Ooh.
A lot of energy. So if I'm having to hold up this mask to keep the secret of me and what I really am and what I'm really going through, there's not a lot of energy left for me to collaborate or create with you.
Because you've got to hold that mask up. You've got
A
to hold
lot of
it.
energy, a lot of energy. So if we could now say what professionalism is a person bringing all their skills and life experience into a space where they're willing to offer that to the space. And that being professionalism.
Yeah.
That would be a lot better.
Just showing up as you are with your experiences, with who you are. Just
all
showing
of who you are.
And it is about being vulnerable, isn't it? Because there's no perfect human being. It's all about being vulnerable. So we really need to redefine that. And just before you showed up, I was talking about how, to some extent, I mean, I know this COVID pandemic has been so dark and painful, with huge losses here and there. But there have also been some benefits. It's hard to believe, but it's been a paradox. There has been some benefit, and one of the benefits is that when we're talking about workplace, scenarios today, it's almost as though COVID has actually nudged us, or should I say, compelled us to rethink what we mean by, professionalism, like you have rightly said. It's about humanity as well. And for a while, like I said, the question is, could our quest for professionalism have come at a cost to humanity? And the answer is yes. And you'll say it is yes every day, every hour. So it's as though we are redressing that imbalance.
We are. I think the world, the universe, God, right, whatever somebody wants to title it as, pressed a reset button.
Reset.
And it really is up to everybody in every genre of existence to decide how do they want to move going forward. All right, like I'll give you a classic. I made a conscious decision that Mondays are no longer a client day for me. Clients don't get my Mondays. And I don't give them my Fridays either.
So what's Monday and Friday for?
Monday and Fridays are mine. For whatever I want to do. If it's that I want to set up my week, if I want to sleep in, it's mine. And I never, ever felt empowered enough that I could do something like that. Even though for many years I've owned my own company. I never felt that I could, because I was still held in this mold of what I'm supposed to be like, how I'm supposed to function. Now, don't get me wrong. I am still a workaholic who is not in a recovery program. I am, right? But for me, in where I am in my life right now, that is working for me. Now, would I tell somebody else to do what I do? No, do not duplicate Lizzy, because you may give yourself a heart attack if you try to go at my pace. Absolutely. I can do my pace because it's balanced for me.
And you know how to do it that way. You know how to do you.
Exactly.
Same goes for me.
Right? We know how to work it.
Yeah.
I can do 3 days and I don't sleep. And I'm functioning.
No, I can do that. I don't do that.
Well, I'm functioning, I'm firing, but I've hit a zone.
Yeah.
And when I hit a zone, I don't want my zone to go. So I ride that zone. Right? Until I hit
when you get into the flow, when you get
because I'm in this space and I don't want to leave this space because, oh my gosh, maybe, and I'm in it. But then when I come out of it, I'm cool to be sitting on my couch with my feecy blanket watching Netflix. Right? So the extremes. Now, everybody is not an extremist. Right? I am an extremist. I'm either all the way here or I'm all the way here. I'm not very your in-between person. It's not the way I'm wired, right? But I've had to come to understanding that. So then I can show up and be me without apology. Being British, I'm real good at saying, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I didn't mean to. Right? That's like an auto respond for me. And there's times I have to say, what exactly am I saying sorry for right now? I'm not sorry. And so there's things for me, I'm constantly inspecting and adapting.
Yeah.
right? The
And
person
we
that
all should do that. We all should
you
do
have
that more
to,
frequently. Yeah,
because that's how you get the best out of your human journey.
absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, great responses there, Lizzie. Next question, given what we've just talked about, how can we help each other feel less alone in the workplace? Because obviously, if we have this mask and we're putting up a facade, it's lonely and it's energy draining. It drains your energy. So how can we help each other do less of that?
I think we have to be willing to meet the imperfections of others. And why I say that is a lot of times we don't want to open up because of past pain or hurt, right? Because people have career trauma too, right? So, well, the last time I was open, this happened to me, and oh my gosh, this happened. And there's all these memories, all these things that happened. So the fear of the repetition of that keeps people not opening up to other people, right? But I think we have to learn to forego that and understand it's a journey. And because it's a journey, I have a saying, I say, there's times people come on your path and you collide,
Mm.
right? And when you collide, you can collide and connect, or we can collide and I can go, oh, excuse me. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And not bother to even try to make a connection.
absolutely.
But everybody is at a different stage in their journey of
Hmm.
who they are and where they are, right? So there's a certain amount of grace and openness that we have to give to ourselves and to others so that we aren't alone. So you can start to experiment with the connections. Because like you said, it is a dance, right? You've got to find your rhythm with this person and how the rhythm works. You have
Yeah,
rhythms with somebody else, but this rhythm's got to be different. You've got to find what that rhythm is and allow that at times you're going to step on each other's toes.
yeah,
But
yeah.
practicing transparency, hey, that was my big toe.
Hmm.
Stepping on my big toe makes me turn into a bear. So I'd rather if you could avoid stepping on my
Hmm.
big
Hmm.
toe. But being able to have those transparent, vulnerable conversations
Yeah.
will help that should we ever again have a space like we have in the world today,
Hmm.
we won't have people who are having to be alone because they have lots of connections
Hmm.
that they can reach out to who will reach back. Right. But again, it's there's risk. There's going to be risk in it, but you've just got to understand the risk has a reward. And we got to do it,
Hmm.
you know?
And helping each other. I mean, we often talk about in an agile environment failing forward, failing fast, and we do a retrospective. We talk about how this is not about throwing anyone under the bus,
Mhm.
and I think those are moments when we can actually help each other to create that more of that kind of space. Being very, very intentional about our retrospective to say, what, this is about us together getting better together. That is a huge opportunity. I mean, not just during the retrospective, anytime really, but
Mhm.
I'm just saying we could be much more intentional about our retrospective to say, this is our opportunity right here collectively to grow together, to create, a safer environment as we journey onward. Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's something that we probably should push more. Like you said, personal retrospectives. Take the technique and bring it into your personal life so you can weigh up, at the end of every day, where am I? And did I follow through with my intention or not for today?
Hmm.
You know what
Hmm.
I mean? And if I didn't, why didn't I?
I didn't know.
And how can I evolve myself, like you said, intentionally on purpose to make tomorrow be a day I serve my intention better?
Better, much better. We
Yeah.
really need to be aware. Victoria has a question for you. So, would you say that businesses have to change their business culture to allow employees to show up as their authentic self?
They have no choice. Culture is naturally evolving at this point in time. And with all the things like cancel culture and social shaming, social media shaming, many organizations don't have a choice.
Hmm.
There are those who will still dig their heels and don't. I mean, let's not get confused, right? There's going to be
Hmm.
those who are going to hang on to professionalism in its
Hmm.
old paradigm for as long as possible. But the
Hmm.
people who are hanging on to that, if you do a little bit of digging into those leaders, they're leaders who have personal trauma.
Hmm. And that is their way
That is their way of controlling
of
environments.
controlling. Yeah.
Right. They didn't have control in another area of their life. They lost control. So here, oh,
I've got to show it all. I've got to come
you got to
fully.
hold on to the
Yeah.
very last. You will not
Yeah.
infiltrate this. So it really, the truth is, a lot of us have to be healed. And I'm using the H word here,
Hmm.
right? Um, a lot of us are walking around as sick human beings. We really are. We're sick, we're wounded, we're bleeding everywhere. Um, and the only way to get past that is through intentional self-development. Right. So a lot of people who we say, oh, COVID cracked them. COVID didn't crack them. COVID exposed the crack.
Wow.
That's all it did. Right. So a lot of people were walking around fractured, miserable, hurting, feeling alone. A lot of this was going on. All COVID did was amplify.
Just like Agile amplifies your dysfunctions, COVID has come along and, exposed all of the cracks.
It did. That's all
Hmm.
it did. So what we need to take from this now is,
Hmm.
yes, many of us are flawed. Many of us are hurting. Many of us have issues. But now let's work to better the product that is you and me.
Work together.
Yeah.
Working together. And on this show, I talk about how we can be awesome and wholesome
That's
together.
right. That's right. You do.
Yeah, awesome and wholesome together,
Yes.
because we all have a part to play. If we are all seeking a safe work environment, then we need to ask ourselves. I mean, there's a Nigerian proverb that says when you point a finger at someone, you've got four fingers pointing right back at you.
Mhm.
Okay, so you can't just wish for a beautiful work environment, a safe work environment. You have to ask yourself, what do I bring to the table? How do I contribute to making, to humanizing,
Yeah.
my workplace? Because it is your workplace. What are you doing to humanize the workplace? So
Mhm.
that is so important. I think we have some more comments. Okay. Mayowa there says, COVID simply amplified the existing realities absolutely in many of our lives, systems and organizations. Absolutely. Okay, let's see what other questions I have for you here. Let's see. How can we embody professionalism? I think we've sort of touched on that. I think I'll go to the next question. Is there a conflict between professionalism and humanity in the workplace?
Yes.
Okay.
There is, because there is a conflict of that in individuals, and the workplace is not a building. It's
The
people.
people.
It's the system, right? So within the system is the conflict. And it's we talk about when you rewrite or reboot a system,
Yeah.
the default always comes back. So every time there is tragedy or fear, the default programming comes back, even after we've made, you can go to organization, you see it's like where we go to organization, oh, the organization's so agile. And then the next thing like, what happened?
The slightest problem, the slightest problem.
What happened? Right?
Mhm.
But that tragedy, that pain, that uncertainty reboot back to the default programming. So what we have to get to the point of is rewriting the default. And that is not something that happens overnight, because it has become part of the system, right? So we have got to now put more things into the system that will override that and become the dominant.
The dominant, place to be, if you like.
Absolutely.
And I like how you said rewriting the default, because for as long as you still have the old default, and if people go back to that default, then that's what's going to show up. But if we rewrite the default, then it doesn't matter. If people go back, there's the right thing that shows up. That is so
Right,
powerful.
exactly. So
That
it's
is
like
so, so
when you
powerful.
talk about culture of an
Hmm.
organization, right? People sometimes think they can somehow erase culture. but you can't erase it. All you can do is evolve it.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean? So you got to take
yeah.
where it is
Yeah.
and evolve it now, cause intentional evolution. It's
Yeah.
like if we go back and we look at the dinosaurs, we have a whole bunch of them that are totally extinct, right? But then we have ones that evolved,
Yeah, absolutely.
right? They were able to evolve to within the environment that they were in, keep changing for the environment so that they could come out. And today we now have elephants today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And that's what
Absolutely.
we've got. That's what we've got to get good at doing and teaching people to do. I have this saying that who I was yesterday is not who I am today. And who I'll be tomorrow is not who I am right now. And
Absolutely.
that's okay.
That's okay. And what that
That's
also
okay.
means, what
Right.
that also means is that you are growing, you are evolving. I wouldn't want to be the Mary that I was 10 years ago today. I don't think so, because that simply means I'm stagnant. That is what that tells me. It means I'm stagnant. And I'm looking at myself as even evolving more in the next year or two.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
that is what growth is all about, right?
It is. That's what it's about. And we have to get better at understanding that for ourselves. Because you see, you can't give out to somebody something that you haven't been able to give to yourself.
No.
You just can't do it.
How can I ask you to grow when I'm not growing?
Can't do it.
I can't. So it's easier for me to even help you grow because I am growing, right? So you can't give what you don't have. You
No.
can't possibly do that. Let's see, we've got some comments, I think. Okay. Okay, just reiterating some of the things you're saying. Evolution is the real growth, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, you can't actually erase culture, but you can actually evolve it, absolutely. We have to get really good at evolving and teaching people, yeah, and systems to evolve, absolutely. And Victoria here is saying the blind can't lead the blind. Thank you so much,
They
Victoria.
cannot. They
Thank you,
cannot,
thank you, thank
Victoria.
you, thank you so
They
much.
can't.
Evolution is growth, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I know we look up to leadership a lot. And leadership is important in any context, in as much as you and I know that the definition of leadership has also evolved, it has changed. For a very long time, we looked at leadership as, a hero, that one person that comes, that, tells us we're going left or right, and also tells us what to do to get to our destination. They are the hero,
Right,
they
right.
know it all, they know it all.
Yes,
But you
yes.
and I know that's not the case anymore, especially given the complexity of our environments today. No one person has all the answers.
True.
So, given the conflict and given how much our quest for professionalism has compromised or has come at a cost to humanity, my question to you now is, what can leadership do to humanize the workplace? Because like I said, it's just like talking about agile transformation. We need leadership, right? We need ownership. We need someone to take the lead. We need someone to walk the talk. So if we want to humanize the workplace, what can leadership do to do more of that?
You see, it's one, people, corporations have initiatives all the time, right? And so it was like, remember when the work-life balance initiative came out? There's always these initiatives. But the thing is to exemplify it. So until leadership begins to exemplify being human themselves and relating to people on a human level. So it's just like the concept of hierarchy. It doesn't help with the concept of humanizing.
No.
Right? The concept of responsibility and accountability is something very different to hierarchy. But I remember being in an organization, and I was talking to a lady, and she was a lot older than me. She was like knocking on 60, right? And there was a meeting I'd set up for her, and she was going to be talking with the CFO.
Okay.
And she was so nervous, like figuring she was going to get in trouble. You saw this grown woman, right? Grown woman, very accomplished, fabulous woman, go into panic mode because she was going to see this person with this title, because in her head, this person was so much higher than her and she was beneath them. That's the first thing leadership have to get rid of.
Yeah.
Is what comes with the concept of hierarchy. And bring in the concept of leadership and accountability. If organizations start to deal with accountability and leadership and tear away hierarchy, and I mean tear it away, because it is literally, that is not something that you brush away. It's something you're going to have to rip apart.
Rip apart.
You're going to have to like rip it, go at it and be angry at it and like rip it apart. When you do that, humanity will start to flow. You look at startups. One thing you can always say about a company that is startup has a very humane flow to it. People are themselves.
Yeah.
Right? People talk to everybody.
Yeah, they can be vulnerable with one another.
Higher than anybody else, even the very owner of the company. There isn't that. But the minute they really grow and expand, for some reason, there's this feeling, we've got to put in the levels. Let's shove you up in the tower and put the rest of them beneath you, right?
And a lot of startups have not been able to sustain that look and feel that they had when they were much smaller. When they then get bigger and bigger and bigger, somehow they just sort of start slipping into that hierarchy again, isn't it? Why is that, Lizzy?
Again, what is it? It's the default.
It's the default, yeah.
It's the default pattern, right? Big organizations,
yeah.
big, huge glass offices, those who sit up there and those. It's hierarchy. It's like corporate royalty, right? Because you've got the monarchy, right? The absolute top, right? And then you got the monarchy, right? You've got the aristocrats, and you got this class system. It is the built-in class system within corporations. This is what it is.
Michael here says, in a world where humanity is so infrequent, isn't it ambitious to believe in a professional workspace that allows for authenticity?
It's ambitious. It is. And we are good for it. We are good for it, Michael. There are so many. When you look at, and I'll hold my hand up and be real honest, right? And own this. I was never one who believed in this idea of authenticity, right? I just thought it was foo-foo. I'm being honest. I really did. I'm being seriously honest with you, okay? Whenever somebody said authentic to me, I'm like, here we go. Okay, how authentic are they wanting to be now? That's what I'd be thinking in my head. I really would. And then I sat on a panel, right? And it was the Women in Agile panel that April Jefferson put up, right? And I listened and I realized how inauthentic I'd been living. So it was like I had a mirror on myself, right? Forget everybody else. I had a mirror on myself and I didn't like what I saw.
So how authentic really have you been? Or
right. So I hadn't been. There was no teacher tells. I didn't even believe in it. So how much more was I going to practice it, right? But to see the lengths I had gone through to hold up that mask and that distance was insane to me. And I had to really do some deep diving, right? Really kind of have some real personal transparency with myself and think, why had you been doing this? What were you thinking you were gaining from it? And did you gain anything from it? So I had to really kind of get to grips with it, right? And then it was like I finally gave myself a key of freedom. And it was interesting because when I gave myself a key of freedom, I then had to deal with other things I hadn't been dealing with in myself. Right. So I had to deal with the areas I had a lack of confidence, and nobody would believe I had lack of confidence. Right. Confidence. Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. Huge amounts of it. Right. And then I had to deal with where that was bent in rejection issues, career trauma that went back to one of my first jobs I ever had as a kid. All these little things I had to go dig. uncover to understand why I had fought authenticity and why now I desperately needed to be me. Right. And it made such a difference. So now I don't have to fit into anybody's mold or feel I do. And I show up how I show up based on the environment going or the mood I'm in for the day. Right.
Yeah.
So classic. It's like I had this show with you today, right? I've taught all night. So I've been teaching India for the past 2 days. So I taught all night. I haven't gone to bed yet, right? And I'm like, so if you look, my hair ain't really talking much, right? I shoved on some makeup because I really didn't want to make people crazy, right? Right. But I didn't feel the need to be anybody but me when I showed up.
Yeah.
Had we done this 2 years ago, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to wear? Oh my gosh, what am I going to, what am I going to say? I'd be in a little small frenzy, right? I'd come on, you wouldn't see the frenzy, but I'd be in a frenzy, right? And I'd be having clampy sweats and all the rest of that stuff because I didn't feel I could show up as me or that me was good enough to show up. See, that's one of the things professionalism does for us.
And I'm happy you talked about that, Lizzy, because talking about professionalism today, I mean, you came in late, right? I panicked a little bit because I hadn't seen you on time. But you know what? I'm like, okay, if she doesn't show up, there was someone else to back me up, just to have, someone else on the show. And I'm just trying to buttress what you've just said. Things like this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago would make me sweat. It looks like something small, but it would make me sweat. Oh, where's Lizzy? I haven't heard from her and all of that. But instead, I've just gone into plan B. Okay, if she doesn't show up, we'll do this or we'll do that. And more importantly, I was even worried that I hadn't heard from you. But I also know that you train round the clock and that you probably hadn't even checked your LinkedIn. So that's an interesting response. And sometimes I also wonder if being authentic also gets better with age.
Oh, come on. Now you're playing my song.
I think it does.
I think it does. But and you know why it does? I think society has given us permission that when you hit a certain age, it's like, okay, you held it up for long. You know, when you get started, you can kind of drop it down. We'll give you a pass now. So you get a pass to think what you want to think and say what you want to say when you hit a certain age. That's why I have to admit, I'm kind of loving this late 40s, right? Knocking on 50.
You're making me feel so old now. So next time you see me, you call me Auntie Mary.
Okay, I want to do that. Yeah, so I mean, I like it. I like the liberty that comes with this.
Yeah.
Right? Because you look ahead of you and you're like, okay, you've done a lot of what everybody wanted you to do.
Yeah.
You've tried to be in everybody's mold, jump so high, bend so low, whatever. And then you come to a space where you're like,
enough already. Enough already.
Yes.
Enough already.
I'm now going to just do me, however me shows up. And if it doesn't match, that's okay.
It's all right.
And that is huge. For me, that's a huge thing of being able to be, that's okay. You know what? That just wasn't supposed to be for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
So for me, I really do believe that age has a lot to do with, how, the older we get, the wiser, the more confident, the more we feel you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. The more you feel you can show up the way you so desire, So I really do think age also does help. More comments coming in, I think. Ronke says, we need to challenge ourselves out of our comfort zone. Yes. I believe at early career stage may be difficult to be authentic and easier as you become more established and confident. Absolutely,
yes.
Ronke. Agree with you. You feel you have earned it with age. Laugh out loud. Yes. Yes. We have earned it. You feel you have earned it with age? Yes, yes, I already showed that. Yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Ronke. And just before we go, yesterday I was doing some research and I came across this video by Lolly Daskal, and she says they say she's the most inspirational woman in the world. That's by the Huffington Post. You need to take down her name.
I'm going to take that.
And
That's exactly what I'm
yeah,
doing. I'm doing that right now.
and I followed her on LinkedIn, and she's a TEDx speaker, and she has an amazing video on TEDx. I think I posted it on LinkedIn actually, and there's a whole lot we can do out here, in the workplace. The workplace isn't just a place for work, but a place to do something meaningful. The workplace isn't just a place for work, but a place to build connections. Okay, it is more than work. It is about building connections also. The workplace isn't about taking proprietorship, but it's about serving others.
Yes.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yes.
it is.
And
We've
there's wonder there.
yeah, we've come to
Service.
the hour. Unfortunately, we've come to the hour. For our audience today, I cannot thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough for always showing up, and for your time here today, Lizzy. It's just been awesome. Thank you so much for investing time with Sincerely Agile with Mary today. And we will be back again next Sunday. And just before I go, I think we have one more comment there. It says, yes, I saw your LinkedIn post and it was an awesome video. Absolutely. So please note that down. And by all means, link up with Lizzy on LinkedIn. She's an amazing woman. She has her own podcast. Is it every week, Lizzy?
So we have a couple of stuff that we're doing now. So
Yeah,
we have the link. We have the link. The link happens every Tuesday, which is a panel of professional women all over 40. Right, talking about life and professionalism as you age. Then we have the Let's Talk Agile on Thursday evenings at 8 o'clock, where we take people's story, we narrate it with Agile, or we discuss something that's going on in the world. That's kind of fun. Yeah. And of course, I'm still continuing the Let's Continue the Conversation.
Exactly.
I have every 2 weeks on a Thursday at 1 o'clock Central.
Yeah. So please connect with Lizzy. And Lizzy, I've got to have you back here on the show. Trust me, you've got to come back. Because
yeah, we got to do this trade out. We got to do this trade out because you're going to have to come and tell your story, because I want to have Agilists now starting to come in and tell their story on the Let's Talk Agile. So we got to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm going to have you back because you've got just too much to talk about with regards to humanity and professionalism. So to everyone out there, thank you for your support. And Lizzy, thank you for being on the show today. Bye-bye.
Welcome. Take care. Bye.